So, the Scrivener's Tale. This is a level 14th adventure from Candlekeep Mysteries, and it's a real good one. I played it over 3 to 4 sessions when I ran it for a group, and that seemed about right. I will talk about running it as a one-shot at the end, but there's so much in this that it could be bigger. So if you have the time, I definitely recommend playing it to the full extent and letting it just wrap up and progress naturally. So the story is that a archfey was in a feud with the Winter Queen of the Unseelie court and got trapped in a book about herself. This book causes the readers, being the PCs, to receive the Scrivener's Mark, which is a curse. Now the curse keeps getting worse and slowly bringing the characters down, so it gives them a timeline, a crunch that they've got to meet. And while they're trying to get rid of this curse, they draw the attention of the Winter Queen, and she tries to stop them, thinking they're going to release this archfey. So there's a few things happening in this adventure. Now, some things that you might want to preload yourself and prep up on would be the Seelie Court and the Winter Queen, or the Queen of Air and Darkness. She has many names, same with the Seelie, Unseelie courts. And then I guess there's locations. So you're going to adventure to a place that used to exist. It was Delimbiyran, which case it now that kingdom has fallen and kingdoms have been in between. It's now the area of Daggerford. So looking up Delimbiyran will help, and looking up Daggerford will help as well. Now, it recently appeared in Storm King's Thunder, but if you can find a copy of N5 under Illifrane, that will give you a whole map of that area if you want to go a little bit further into what's happening around the area. The other location that the group will travel to will be Baldurs Gate, and you can find heaps of information for that on wikis online and such. But most recently, there's a lot of information in the Baldurs Gate Descent to Avernus adventure, where it's got a whole chapter at the rear just on that city and what happens there. Now, the hooks for this adventure are things like... what I use is, if the characters have just done the Canopic Being from the previous Candlekeep adventure, you could have a priest or priestess of Savras call the group to a meeting stop, meeting place, not show up and leave the book on the table. The characters get there, they're standing around, they're waiting, one of them opens up the book, bam, they're cursed. That's when the priest sort of jumps out from the tavern and is like, ha! Don't know what this is about, but my god told me to do this because you killed a high priest, and so sucks to you. Or I'm sure the group have attracted many rivals in their time, and one of their underlings who survived, or family member, or whatever, could trap the players with the cursed item being the book. And with this curse, I found it was a challenge to high-level players. It gave them an obvious timeline that they could watch the words form on their skin as it slowly made their way up their body, cursing them further and further and giving them more penalties. So it was good. It raised the tensions, and my players felt that. So that was great. The group then have to start investigating what's going on. In which case it's based around Candlekeep, as Candlekeep Mysteries, but that could be any location. In which case it's roleplay, it's lore, it's skill checks to investigate and find out all about the Scrivener's Mark and what's to befall them. And there's also a mysterious dream, which just means it's just another way of giving players information. Some people might liking to roleplay with a sage. Some people might want to go do research and get the information, and others might like to receive it in a dream. The multi-headed facets of how this information can come down at them is good. It's a good variety, and it shows them that some players will latch on to methods of delivery better than others. So one might be all about the dream, where someone's all about what the sage told them. Then it's time to talk about some travel. Now, they're going to go from Candlekeep now up to Baldurs Gate. And you're going to travel along the coast way. That's about 200 miles. The characters do not have time to walk this. You're going to have to come up with a way of travel. Now, the players might have some ingrained methods of travel, and that could be teleportation circles, it could be tree stride, it could be wind walk, it could be their mounts, or you could offer them and get them something. Potentially, they've helped Candlekeep before, so potentially the scribes might be able to summon something or call something into being. Racing snails that zip up the coast, or flying beasts, or jumping in the mouth of a expedient whale in the ocean that just shoots up the coast. Something fantastic and high level is sort of what you're going for. So come up with something cool and implement that. At which point it also talks about mark for death and other foes. In which case, it gives you some things you can use against the group. And there was Archmage, and some Death Slard, and some Elven Vampires, Assassins and a Green Dragon, some Formians, and some Wizard Elves. Yeah, that was all cool, but I felt it wasn't as fey as it could be. And that's where I'm going to talk about in this adventure, is making it a bit more fey. So, 3 encounters I'm going to suggest, in which case you can run them in whatever order you think is going to work best for your group. One is a combat encounter. Another is an encounter where it's not so much necessarily combat, but trickster or deception. And another one that is simply a little bit of roleplay. The first one being a combat one, being let's throw something a little bit more fey at the group. And my first thought was the Jabberwocky. Now, in Wild Beyond the Witchlight, they've got a CR13 one, but I also looked up online and found a CR20, and that was a big fight that kept my group going for a while. They were able to handle it because they were a well-prepared, well-equipped group of about 5 people, I think. So that was quite a challenging fight for them, and but 5 people focus firing on one creature when they can just summon thing. The action economy outweighs it, and eventually they can take out things like that with reasonable risks. It was an exciting fight. Now, if you're going to use the Jabberwocky, I suggest you look up and find the poem by Lewis Carroll by the same name, the Jabberwocky, and use descriptions from it to help develop your story and give it a weird feeling. Talk about how some of the environment changes, why they're there, and you can quote some bits from it, such as "'Twas brillig and the slithry toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe, all mimsy were the borogroves, and the momy wrath outgabe." Weird stuff. The players are going to be like, "Are you having a stroke?" and if anyone actually picks it up, like, well done to them. Like, there is some cool stuff in here. The Vorpal blade went snicker-snack and left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. Cool little stuff to put into your encounter to give it a feeling of something different. Now, my next encounter 2, not necessarily the second encounter, but the second encounter I've done for this, is a Delayer. So the Queen of Air and Darkness is going to send forth a trickster of some sort. Magical being that tries to put the group into 100-year slumber, or to hypnotize them and make them fight themselves in the dream world where they don't realize they're fighting each other, or come up with something trickster-like. In which case you could use a fairy, a satyr, a brownie, a quickling, a mushroom man. Any of those sort of things works well. And just try and trap them in their sleep or in their dreams and do some really fey-like stuff. So I'll leave you to figure out exactly how you're going to run that one. And the final one, which doesn't have to necessarily be the final one, was the Warning. Now this time, it's someone rocking up, telling them to lay down their arms. They are not to progress on this quest. Unfortunately, they're going to die, but we cannot release the Archfey. It's just going to be. In which case, it could fall into a combat, but it's probably not designed to. This is if you inject a particular known character from the Fey that is going to talk with the party. Someone like the Pumpkin King or Jack Frost, who's going to rock up. It's going to get cold, or autumny, and there's pumpkins there, or frost on the windows, or wherever they end up. And all of a sudden, this character is going to be there and warn them and tell them you are not to progress. That is the end. It's unfortunately it for you, and then disappear if they try to attack. So it was a warning, not necessarily meant to be a combat. So if you do the investigation and one attack on the road, one encounter on the road of one of those, that's probably going to take you to about a 2 to 3 hour session. You could be done. The next one is the group get to Baldurs Gate, and it was a bunch of roleplay, some skill checks, where the group will meet Yvonne Rillen, and I made her a Viscountess, so the low rank, but not the lowest. and she has run a sword school. Now, she's lost her arm, but she's still a duelist, or a fencer, I guess. And she's run a sword school. Now, according to the history of lore of Baldur's Gate, and you can change it, but she's been producing swordsmen for about a decade now. So she's quite accomplished, but it's probably just not a reputable sword school because she doesn't have another arm to help fight with. So the students are going to receive that a little bit less from maybe another sword school. So it's perceived anyway. Well, my group decided to cast Regeneration on her and give her her arm back. And that just pretty much let her throw the doors open and they could research and do whatever they wanted from her father's notes. And they were straight into that. So, fantastic, great option. I heard what my party wanted to do and I let them get into it, and it was a great relationship. And one of them later even went back and married Yvonne. So it was a great little thing set up there. Now, potentially they also try and steal from Yvonne, and in which case that'd be a shame because then you're going to have to send an adult copper dragon after the party to try and track them down. So probably another encounter, in which case make sure the group definitely know that these are good dragons. They're killing a good dragon because they've done the wrong thing, and try to put that ethical thing to them, like you're in the wrong here, not you're stepping away from being a hero potentially. In which case, now we're traveling again, and that will take you from Baldurs Gate up to Daggerford on the tradeway about 550 miles. So once again, another method of travel is going to have to be come up with, whether they teleport up to Waterdeep and then go down to Daggerford or what have you, but they're going to have to move fast because the curse will be starting to take over. We could be at stage 2, stage 3 by this stage, in which case they're running out of time. They've got to get there fast. So for me, this was the end of the second session. So we now move into the Haven of the Red Quill, which is the dungeon crawl aspect of this adventure. At which case, H1, they go down the stairs, they could fall down and hurt themselves. Ask the characters, like, once one of them susses it out a bit and realize, like, yeah, this thing's dangerous, how would you get down? The high-level group, I'm sure they'll love to explain to you how they feather fall, climb down, magic thing, pull rocks out of this wall and make their own stairs, whatever they do. It'll be more of them telling you how they bypass this one than just fall and hurt themselves. They'll go in, not much to say about there, and then they'll cut a left and get into H4, the reading room. Now, Zirian, he was fine. Ghost got in, had to tell them, listen, I've been here for 900 years. I'm not going to let you go in there. Like, we've got a thing here. Sorry, others have been here and failed. Like, this is unfortunately on her, and you're just not going to get through. The party will, of course, say, like, we really need to, and we are capable people. And in which case, he might have to trigger the waves of mummies and golems to say, like, well, if you can't beat these, then you won't beat her, so give it a go, and I wish you the best of luck. You'll fade away, and that's when the mummies and things will start coming. And if he explains what the situation is going to be, that might also allow the group to then prepare. Are they going to fashion tables in barricades and set them up in ways so that they're going to be able to defend themselves and then be caught off guard when they start coming out of the walls behind them and attacking from behind? So it changes the whole scenario up as to where these mummies and golems were coming out of. So truly a really good fight if you've got the time to do it well with waves. Like nice little bit there, and my group enjoyed that fight. Moving into H5, the group actually went there first in one of my games, was that, yes, there is the dragon fresco, Costalancer, in which case, my group obviously took the wand off and activated him and brought him out of the mural or the fresco. And the dragon was like, all right, I owe you guys because you got me out of the picture. I'm indebted. I feel appreciation for that, but I'm going to move on and going to go back and take my old place, and I'm going to destroy anything that's out there and eat and do my thing and probably take out any towns and things like that. And they were just like, my group could not let that go. And they're like, we're going to have to fight you. We can't have you leave knowing we did that. So that was cool. Cool way to force a combat on the group when they potentially thought they were only just exploring around. They're like, now we're going to fight this thing. And that was the end of session 3 for one of my groups, which leaves us only with the Great Library. Now, this was a fantastic fight, and only requires a little modification to make it that much better. Now, in the lair actions, there is a mirror vortex that can suck a party member in and spit them out somewhere else. Well, I would recommend making sure when you use that mirror vortex, not only does it draw the PCs in, but also the NPCs that happen to be near them as well, and also any furniture, desks and tables. You can imagine the PC fighting one of the glass, shadow glass golems, and then all of a sudden a bookcase just comes sliding along while they're trying to fight the mirror and just collects both them and the NPC, drags them through the mirror, spits them out the other side with a bookcase coming under them. They're having to scramble out underneath it or lift it off them later while they're trying to fight this other thing, or they dive through the bookcase as it goes through, but they're still sucked in, which means the glass golems there, the bookcase is on top, they end up falling on top and they're stabbing into the through the bookcase into the floor to hit that shadow glass creature. Like, fantastic fight with things getting moved around, the environment changing, multiple bad guys running about. It was hectic. And it took the whole session just about by the time the group got in there, explored, started the ritual, and then did the combat. That was almost a whole session. Fantastic fight. And highly recommend, if you're going to run bad guys, that's how you run a bad guy. And dynamic environment, multiple minions, fantastic fight. So if you were to run, so as I said, I ran this like 3-4 sessions, and if you look into it a bit more, it could even go another session or 2 beyond that. Great adventure, but if you were to run this as a one-shot, there's a few things you're going to have to do. Potentially, you're going to have all the information gathering. So Candlekeep and Baldurs Gate, one location. You don't have time to go jumping around and meeting new NPCs just for more information again. So some people might question why that was even there. I liked it. But you're going to have to, was a one-shot, limit this down one place. All the information can be gained from there. Choose one location, that's it. Then potentially not hit them on the road, just let them travel there and get there expediently because you do not have time. Because when you get down into the dungeon crawl, you may have to decide between the waves of mummies and golems or the black dragon before the big fight because you are out of time. Once the group want to explore a little bit and even cut the whole bunkhouse side of things, there isn't time. You need to get one of these fights done, or maybe both, because that big one at the end, Nintra, Sonata, you might have to just reduce it heavily if time is getting late. So a few things you might have to do there if you're going to run this as a one-shot. And as I said, you can be done, but you're going to cut so much of the good stuff out of this. I almost wouldn't recommend this as a one-shot, but if time is precious to you, so be it, and you need a level 14 adventure, this is a good one. So, this adventure ranks really well from a lot of the reviewers, usually in the top half to top third at least. There was a couple of good adventures in Candlekeep Mysteries, and this is one of them. So I strongly recommend. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this, have a look at some of the other stuff I do. Plenty of Dungeon Master review of some other adventures, and also some talking about subclasses and stuff. If there's anything else you're interested, put the comments down below of what you'd like to see, and I will catch you next time at the gaming table.